Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Joe Daddy's Garage. It is Monday, January 19th, 2026, and it is currently 38 degrees here in Georgia. Now, we've been having some cold temperatures coming through, and it's going to continue, and I don't like it. Y'all know that. I don't like the cold. We're going to have, over this whole week here, lows in the mid 20s, and next week, even a little bit colder on Monday, low of 22. Let me tell you, that is cold in Georgia. And highs have been mid 40s, maybe low 50s. Either way, I don't like it. Now, I'm out here in the garage. I do have the mini split running, and that keeps the temperature moderate enough for me to do things. The only drawback at this point to having the garage all closed up, of course, is when I'm cutting something or grinding something, and I get all kinds of dust in the air, and a lot of times I'll do some of that stuff, and then I have to leave. I get out of here for a little bit, let everything settle down, so it doesn't. I don't want to wear a respirator all the time, but be cautious with that sort of thing when you're working on a project. You always want to have a good fresh air supply if you can. If not, do what you can to get away from it for at least for a little while. So last week I did the live stream, and that was Monday, of course. And if you're new to my live stream, I do this on every Monday at 7 o'clock, and the focus is classic cars between 1955 to 1980. That's kind of my bracket of time. That's what I'm most familiar with. But last week I was outside. It was a pretty nice day. It wasn't, it was nice temperatures. And this was in, mid afternoon. I was working on trimming some saplings and stuff. You get the trees start sprouting up and growing around your house. And I was just cutting off little saplings and stuff, and some poison ivy that was climbing the house. And so bending over and snipping those off, I just made a little pile. I mean, literally just a little bundle of sticks by the end of it. I did that, and then my back got angry, and probably the most angry it's been that I can remember. The lower back itself. Now I've hurt worse, and I've talked about this before. I've hurt worse the time that I dislocated 4 ribs off of my spine. That was bad. That was super bad. Um, and this time it was my lower back, and it was so bad that I couldn't do anything. I mean, I got in the house and I tried to do some different stuff. I ended up on the floor for a while, and it was pretty scary, and it hurt. And part of it is probably obviously my fault because I typically go to a chiropractor once a month, get an adjustment, and I'm usually good. I haven't been to my chiropractor in 3 months. You get that inclination, the idea. Oh, I'm feeling good. I don't need to do this anymore. Wrong. So I got an adjustment done on Wednesday, and all of last week, all I did was sit, play my Rocket League on the PlayStation um, with ice packs, and then I would take a hot bath to try to loosen up everything. Take an Advil, constant stretching, and finally, as of today, I was even not feeling great yesterday, but today I feel like 100%. My back feels great. I haven't had any issues at all. And, we got to take care of ourselves. Stretch before you do something you may regret later. But again, I wasn't doing anything at all in my mind. I was just trimming little saplings and stuff. Um, in here, I'm out here, I'm lifting up heavy things over my head and all kinds of stuff. And this was just trivial. This was just so minor that it should not have mattered, but it did. It did. So, what I've been trying to do, if you saw the last video, um, of course, I've been working on the suspension stuff, and I started mocking up the engine that I have from Speedway, the skeleton engine, as I call it. And if you don't already follow me on Instagram, I encourage you to do that. I've been posting there as often, almost every day now. I try to post something on Instagram showing what I'm doing, trying to get some more traction in the cyber world. But anyway, I was mocking up the modular, Coyote engine that I got from Speedway, and over here I have the transmission from Summit. And so I got the engine in place, and then today I was working on test fitting that transmission. Now I've gotten some good advice. You've seen him on here before, Bad Harry. He has built a '68 fastback, doing the exact same thing. And so I've messaged him several times. We communicated today, and he gave me some insight as to where to cut and different things like that. Now, his approach is a little bit different than what I'm doing because he is using a different suspension setup. We've got the TCI on here, and that's going to come into play. But everything's coming along. I did cut the tunnel. I cut a big piece of that out today, and I'm slowly whittling down, let's say, the opening to get the mock-up transmission to fit. Now, there's some other things that have to go with that transmission. This mock-up is just kind of like a shell to give you a rough idea, but there are other pieces that will attach to that, plumbing and if you want to have a filler tube and all that stuff, those are things that need to be considered, as you go. So right now, that's what I'm working on, and I've made the initial cut. In fact, I'll just show you real quick. This is the forward section of the firewall or the floor pan where it meets the firewall. So whenever I first started doing the floor pan and the firewall, I did not weld these together intentionally because I knew I was going to come back and be cutting these loose. So that's what I did, and that's going to be part of the next video. So anyway, hope everybody's doing well. I encourage everybody to participate and be part of the process. A lot of times we get questions on here that I may not be able to answer, and I usually have great responses over there in the chat box. So by all means, give a thumbs up, leave a comment, let me know you're here, and we'll get the show started. And it looks like we have currently 45 people watching. I don't know how many have clicked on the thumbs up button or anything like that, but let's give that a go. So first one in, Rick Stevenson. I'm on the road. I hope to be able to join y'all before it's over. Whoop, wait. Good. I hope you show up, Rick. Going to get some coffee on that. Always start the show with some coffee if I can. TJ from East Dublin, Georgia, is always glad to be here with Barry and everyone for the Monday live chat. Appreciate all you do for the community. Thumbs for Barry. Appreciate you. Thank you, TJ. And one of these days, maybe we'll run into each other again down at the summit. That would be good. Rick Ain, too cold in New Jersey, but I've got to try and get an 03 Silverado running in the driveway. No fun. Yeah. I'll give you a thumbs up, but I mean a bell, but nothing in the cold driveway. That doesn't sound fun. And everyone thumbs up for Barry. Barry, hope your back is better. Yes. Thank you, Rick. And it is better. I'm kind of shocked right now how good my back feels. Not everything else feels as good, but I'm happy with the back. Richard Vogel, good evening, Barry. Glad to hear you're feeling better. Looking forward to a great show. Thank you, Richard. Glad you're here. Dave Tyson, good evening, Barry. Whoops. Uh-oh. Where'd it go? Oh, good evening, all. Hope you're staying warm. Yes. Thank you, Dave. Glad you're here. George Crackle. Hello to Barry and gang from a cold and blustery Michigan. No thanks. I've got friends who live up that way. I don't want to go up there. Don't want to be there. Terry Keithley, good evening, everyone. And Barry, please hit a thumbs up and the like button for Barry. Thank you kindly, Terry and Betty, and the cats. Thank you, Terry. And I hope Betty is doing okay. I know you're dealing with a lot right now. Steve Reed, hello, Barry, and everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. And please give a thumbs up for Barry. Thanks, Steve. Yeah, and that's pretty important as I do this. that lets YouTube know that, hey, people are watching and they like what they're seeing. And I encourage you to do that on any of my videos that you watch. Leave a thumbs up, leave a comment. There's a lot of stuff going on YouTube, obviously, and every little input like that helps with the process, helps keep things, get people interested. I still find it remarkable that a lot of my videos, I put them out and I get like 1,000 views. And I've seen, other people who aren't doing the informational type videos that I'm doing. Maybe it's more on the entertainment side of things, and they're getting 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10,000 views. And I'm like, come on, I need to get some viewership and thumbs up and all that sort of stuff. So anything you can do to help. Hey, Matco Man. Hello, everyone. I know you have talked about this before, but seam seal type, and do you brush with tape or finger paint? That's a good question. And I actually saw that when I was scanning ahead of time. So I grabbed some stuff. Now, I use, for a variety of reasons, and this is just a brand. It doesn't matter. I've used Evercoat. I'm sure there's other companies out there that make this. This is brushable seam sealer. This is by Speed Coat, and it says Speedo brushable seam sealer. That's what this is intended to be used. It's creamier than peanut butter. It's like icing, let's say, a little thicker than icing, somewhere in between those two. But you can just take a brush and dip this down in there and brush into your seams, and take care of it that way to give it that look that may have been there from the factory. Most of the time, I put a glove on, dip a finger in here, and swipe, and push it down into the crevice or whatever I'm trying to fill. The brush does a good job, but it also kind of drags it out as you go, in a sense. So you end up with maybe a little trough. With this, it's kind of like doing caulking on a window or something, where you use your finger and fill it in, and you end up with that nice transition, curve. So this is what I use a lot of times when I'm just trying to fill around the wheel wells or something, in the where the wheelhouse meets the trunk pan. That's a prime area that gets it. Or even overlaps. I'll use it in overlaps and brush it into that. Otherwise, I have used this product. This is 3M Fast and Firm Seam Sealer. This is beige. Now there's two different types here. And this one, let me see if I can remember now. Fast and Firm Automotive Seam Sealer. Use on exterior auto body seams which have been properly prepared with primer or paint. Okay. So this Fast and Firm 08505 is meant to go on a primed or painted surface. That's why there's a difference. Okay. So that's what this is. And the seam sealer, I should say on this other one, this one, the brushable, it says allow 30 to 40 minutes before applying paint. It does not say whether it needs to be on, it says clean surface with pre-clean. So it doesn't say specifically if you need to be on top of primer or bare metal, but this one says on top of primer or paint. And then this one, sorry, I grabbed the wrong one. High Solids Seam Sealer, and this is from Evercoat, black, fast curing, non-sagging, paintable in minutes, 60 minutes, permanently flexible, withstands weathering, oxidation, salt, gas, and most solvents. And this one, if I remember correctly, fast curing, let's see, many automotive uses, ensure surface is clean. I'm trying to remember now. I think this one is goes to bare metal. I think. But anyway, you can look those numbers up. But this one, I like it because it stays a little bit softer when it's done. Well, I say that it's going to cure. Um, so those are the differences. And then I grabbed the other tube here, and this is totally different, but this is auto bedding and glazing compound 08509. And this is meant to go under um, it's a water resistant sealer for exterior sealing of windshield rubber and other seams requiring a non paintable product that remains permanently soft. Okay. And this does, I mean, I can dig a fingernail into that and break that piece of that off. But this is for doing your gaskets around your windows. Anyway, so I hope that helps and answers your question. Good question. Travis Holtman, good evening, all. Let's talk mock ups. Yes, by all means, Travis. Appreciate you being here and one of my top 5 patrons. Jiggy, good evening, everyone. Barry, I hope your back is feeling better. It is. Um, and I will say, I went over to see Jiggy. He doesn't live that far away from me, like half an hour. And he's got a project car that he's trying to put together. And so he needed me to kind of give him some direction on it. And I hope I gave him some good advice on what needs to happen with that project. But looking forward to updates on that and maybe even stopping over again and helping out. So glad you're here, Jiggy. Robert in the Infernal Craftsman, not internal, infernal. Evening all, a couple of days of winter coming up, low of 13 degrees and 4 inches of snow on Saturday. Yeah. So that means it's headed our way after you. Glad you're here. Nandu, hi, Barry and everyone. Hope you're all doing good. Thank you, sir. Troy Justit, good evening from coastal Georgia. I got a good 8 hours of uninterrupted time in the garage today. It's been a good day. I thought you were going to say 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep. I was thinking, how nice would that be? I can't sleep 8 hours in a row. I could probably sleep three, and then three and two, or four and two and one. That would be nice. Mr. Mikey, good evening, y'all. Loaded the 289 block in the truck for a trip to machine shop tomorrow. Nice. That's good to hear. And that's something, I've got this 289 sitting over here that I was going to try to put in the Falcon. It's not going to happen. I've run a ball hone in that one bad cylinder. It'll have to be bored at least to 60 over to clean it out. I'm not going to do it. It's at 40 over right now. I decided I'm going to find something else and go another direction. So that block is just, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. It's not worth me. It's not worth me working on at this point. Jerry is checking in. Howdy, Barry. Howdy, y'all. Hope you have a great car chat. Thank you, Jerry. David, the bowler hat guy. Hello, everyone. Good evening, Barry. Good evening, sir. David Wright. Yeah, good evening, all. What are your thoughts on an air compressor, single stage or twin stage? That's a good question. That is a good question. Um, I've got a dual stage compressor right now, and I can't say it does me any better than a single stage. I really can't. For the longest time, I had a Sanborn 50-gallon single stage air compressor set over in that corner. And it did everything I needed it to do. It did until it ended up dying. And when it died, I replaced it with a big Lowe's 80-gallon 2-stage. And honestly, I don't think I gain anything from it. I really don't. So if you're just doing like stuff on your own in a home shop, 50-gallon single stage, you're good to go. But get a good one. But that's a good question. Dave Conville, good evening. Evening, Dave. We're hitting the bell on Dave's tonight. That's for sure. Auto Dynamics 01. Hey Barry, hope all is well. Thank you, Auto Dynamics. Likewise. Dave Tyson, not above zero today. Yeah, no. Annette is checking in. Hello, everyone. I'm in the hospital. I didn't want to miss the show. Oh, wow. Okay. I'm glad you're hearing that. Sorry to hear that you're in the hospital. I hope it's nothing too serious. Um, that I don't. It's you never want to hear that, obviously. Um, so I hope everything is okay. Pat Attic, hi everyone from freezing South Central PA wood stove. Sure feels great today. Barry, hope you're back up better and you got some garage time. Yes, thank you, Pat. South Central PA. Let me ask you what county you're in, if you would mind telling me. Just tell me the county that you're in. Uh, Gig and Garage. Good evening, Barry. Kevin Barth from Dallas here. Welcome, Kevin. Glad you're here. Annette says, watching from my hospital bed. Oh boy. Well, at least you're maybe get some entertainment out of it. I hope it's nothing serious. Tim Miller says no sound. Mic is off. Um, no, I think everything's okay. I haven't gotten any other notifications, Tim. Must be on your end. Michael Pagliarini. Oh, by the way, well, there's the bell for Tim. Michael Pagliarini, evening all. So you're not going to help me shovel my driveway. I feel your pain. Yeah, I'm not going to help. I'll send good thoughts, though. Good thoughts your way. Good thoughts. Okay, thank you, Travis. Rusty's Restoration. Hello, all. Barry. I hope your back's feeling better. Everyone give a thumbs up. Yes, thank you, Rusty. Annette, I had total knee replacement surgery on Friday. Okay, well, I guess you get a bell for that. Yeah, all I can say is do what they tell you. I have not had a knee replacement surgery yet. I know it's on the horizon. My mom has had three knee replacements. My sister has had both of hers replaced, and I think my other sister had at least one of hers replaced. You know how it is. It's a pretty common thing now. But stretch, do what they tell you. Stretch that all that stuff, make it move. The sooner you can make it move and the further you can stretch it, the better off you'll be. My sister, who had both done as an occupational therapist, and she was doing like full squats the next day because she's just so crazy about that stuff. But yeah, make it all stretch and do what you need to do. Julian, I've been there. Back pain can stop you between steps, ease back into stuff. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I took it easy this morning, stretching, ice packs, you know, baby steps. Because I'll tell you what, it hurt so bad it scared me. It really did. It scared me because my wife had to help me move. It was not good. Richard, do you have to cut more of the transmission tunnel on Fangled? Yes, I will have to cut more. Um, what I did was, I never want to cut big on the first session. So I get within a decent range and then I'll trim and modify from there to make it do what I want. Um, so yeah, there's still some cutting that'll have to happen. And I'm even looking at, I'm talking about it in the video, if you drew a center line down the transmission tunnel, you see my crooked finger too? My finger's still crooked. Um, if you drew a center line down the transmission tunnel, you'd find that the offset or the distance, let's say from center to floor supports, is narrower on the driver's side and wider on the passenger side. And I mean the floor pan. So what I'm seeing right now when I put this mock up in is I've got good clearance on the driver's side because it's already a short distance. It's bigger on that side. And that makes sense because the original transmissions in these cars would have had all that, the shift linkage on the driver's side, and then the shifter would have come down and come over to the driver's side. So the passenger side was kind of pushed towards center a little. But with this transmission, it's more center mass. It's not offset, right? So I have to consider the idea of moving the hump outboard on the passenger side as well to make room for that. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm fine tuning, as I go, and that's always how I process things. I don't just say, let's get the chainsaw and cut it in half and see what happens. But good question. Auto dynamic, liking the engine mock-up, I would like to have the oil pan on, make sure it's set and everything clears. It makes me think of getting one. I've seen a few on Marketplace in the past. Yeah, I've thought about that too. Um, I looked at, um, well, I was taking some measurements off the engine that we have here, but I did look on Marketplace. Like, does anybody have a pan? Because I don't want to take the pan off of that. I don't want to break anything open on that engine. Um, but I'm also taking measurements using various location points to get a depth. And right now, the clearance looks good. Like, it doesn't look like it's going to be too low or too high. It looks like it's right on the range that I want it. So, but that does make sense to make a test fit like that. Julian, I'll bore and hone that block for you if you want. Well, I appreciate that, but I just don't know about the going 60 over. I'm not comfortable with that. I'm not. I don't like that idea. Harvey, Rally Cat Garage. Hello, Barry from frozen wasteland we call New Jersey. Welcome, Harvey. Auto. Oh, Auto Dynamics is me, 68 Eleanor, Pete, enjoying the live stream in this Mustang platform. Okay. Um, welcome, 68 Eleanor. Welcome, Pete. Whoops. Like I said, I don't know why this does that now with the at thing. It didn't used to do that, and I didn't change any parameters, so I don't know why it's doing it. And so I just kind of have to run with what I see. Pat Attic, Dauphin County. Okay, I don't know where that's at. I could tell you where Bedford County is. I could tell you where Cambria County is, Somerset County, um, Dauphin County. I don't know where that's at. So, sorry. Jack W. Hello, Barry. Hope all is well. Welcome, Jack. Let me know when I'm going to be coming up there to take a ride in your fastback. Looking forward to that. Matt Goman, hey, thank you. I took notes this time on the compressor. You want the highest CFM. Yep. Yep. CFM is a very much a necessity. Julian had them both done. Get your range of motion quickly. They want about 120 degrees. Plan on PT the rest of your life for best results. And that's kind of with everything. You know, you've got to keep things moving, and we're all guilty of it. I know for me, like if I go down on the floor, I don't just drop to my knees anymore. It is a slow process. Put the hands down, bend the knees. My left knee makes all kinds of crunchy, poppy sounds, and then I'm on the ground and I'm okay. But you know, all these things are needing movement. You know, all of us. Annette, what's the best subframe connectors? That's a good question. That is a good question. Um, and I can't say that I have the best answer. Okay. There's variables to that. So you have, um, I think, like Fat Man Fabrications make something, Mustangs to Fear make something. Um, there's a variety of companies. And you can also make your own, to be honest. There are design plans online where you take square tubing and you cut it, make a little notch, and you take that square tubing and you bend it slightly and weld it together. And it's a simple process as long as you have something to cut it with, and you can cut it with a 4.5 inch grinder, to be honest. Um, but you can make simple frame connectors from those pieces. So there's I can't say which one is the best because there are variables out there. Um, and a lot of that deals with how people want them to look, or the strength they are, how thick they are. There's variables. So if anybody else has any input on that, by all means, throw it out there. 427 Mustang. Hi, Barry. I just ordered a pair of FPA headers a few minutes ago. 14.95. My wallet hated me. My 67 loves me, though. LOL. By the way, I changed my name. This is Rich W. Okay. Well, 14.95. Okay. It all adds up, doesn't it? It all adds up. So hopefully they fit like a glove and you don't have any problems. But glad you're here, Rich. Shannon Vaughn. Hello, sir. He says, hello, everyone. Glad you're here, Shannon. Haven't seen you in a while. Um, Rich, convertible inner rockers are better than any subframe connector. If I had to buy, I would go SOT. I'm not sure who makes SOT. SOT? I don't know who SOT is. But yeah, convertible inner rockers definitely make these cars stronger. Robert, I think the plans are on Day's Cars site or something like that. There are hundreds of aftermarket ones. In my opinion, build your own if you can. Yeah. Oh, he says street or track. Okay, thanks. Yeah, I'm not real good on the quick acronyms when it comes down to it. Um, okay. Jack says building a jig now, ripping at least one of the frame rails and thinking about doing both. It's overkill, but I want it to be right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, make it solid. Julie and I sonic tested cylinder walls before boring that large. Haven't had issues. Haven't had one that wouldn't take 60 over or sleeve the bad cylinder. Well, that's something that was suggested to me as well. And the only other thing is, I say the only other thing, um, I've heard that if they go 60 over, they overheat easier. I know they run hot anyway, but they overheat a lot easier if they're 60 over. And then the other one is, and I know it's not as critical, on the driver's side, the last bolt mount where the transmission bolts to the block, that is cracked in half. Like it only, half a hole there. And I know it's not that critical. If you got all the other bolts in, the transmission is not going anywhere. And you could actually put something there to make it tight. But that's the other thing that I've kind of sours me a little bit on it. Um, but I don't know. I don't know if I want to invest in it, you know. Um, and I'm sure you're not local, right? You're not local, so it would have to be transported to you. But I do appreciate the offer. Richard, what do you prime with before you apply seam sealer? Well, that's a good question. Typically, if I'm doing sheet metal work, right, I strip off what's here. I put epoxy primer on. From there, depending on what I'm doing, high build, fillers, whatever. Um, so epoxy is fine, but you could also probably just get away with regular primer. You don't have to have epoxy. Um, I like epoxy because it seems a lot more permanent. Like it's going to bond. In fact, there's a window with epoxy. You only have, I think it's 4 days to top coat. Otherwise, you have to scuff it down really good. to make it grab into the next layer of material. So, epoxy's fine. You could probably even use, depending on where you're working on, what you're working on, self etching primer. As long as you have a primer in there under the seam sealer. And I think what they're getting at is trying to keep any kind of moisture separation, or getting in between the primer and the seam sealer. If you didn't have primer, you just went to bare metal, you may end up getting rust or something, because it's possible that moisture could join in with the seam sealer or something along those lines. I don't know what the chemical makeup is of this stuff. I just know what they recommend. So epoxy, self etch, probably just even rattle can primer, just something to have it in between. But that's a good question. Okay, yeah, we answered a street or track. Okay. Um, Travis, Annette, I bought some pallet racks for cheap for that purpose to cut and re-weld. I went a different route. Mustang's the Fear full subframe might be an option for you. Okay, so you're using pallet racks to make frame connectors. Is that what I'm understanding? Thank you, Travis. Rick Stevenson. Hey, I made it. Well, you don't get an extra bell. Ah, you do. You get an extra bell, and I'll have another hit of coffee. So there we go. Glad you're here, Rick. Travis says epoxy binds to everything. Everything binds to epoxy. That's a good way to look at it. That is a good way to look at it. I like that. Need to put that on a bumper sticker. Mr. Cyrano, make sure the metal's clean when you put any primer down. Scott's braided metal prep, wax and grease remover, whatever. That's a good call. Yes. Yeah, I agree. And a lot of times when this may be maybe not the most appropriate. A lot of times I will wipe stuff down with lacquer thinner. If I don't have something like the metal prep or whatever, I'll wipe it down with lacquer thinner. I figure lacquer thinner is going to remove anything that's there, oil or contamination. But you're right. Do some prep on that as well. And thank you, Mr. Cyrano. Hope I'm saying that right. I know we talked about this before. I know Sereno. Is it Sereno or Cyrano? Cyrano is a one. Sereno is two. So you tell me if it's two or one, because I can't remember. I think I was wrong with Cyrano. I think it's Sereno, right? You haven't been here in a while. um, I know Portland T&R restoration. I thought it was 4 years to paint to high build. LOL, it has been for me. Yeah, yeah, 4 years. That sounds about right. Um, Mr. 67 Mustang Resto. When you were assembling your fastback interstructure, did you have initial dimensions that you're going by to have a good starting point? No, actually, I didn't. Um, when I was putting pieces together, and I tell people this all the time, fitting these pieces, I never weld anything until I'm satisfied with the dimensions. Now, when I say that, I don't mean the dimensions that may be exact to what the factory had. I look at how the panels fit, how they interact with each other, how they overlap, all that stuff, um, and then go from there. But I don't have any specific measurements. The only thing I did have, I think I had some measurements for the back window, and I didn't have anything on the inside, because really once you get the everything to fit and the quarter panels drawn in against the deck filler panel and the roof fits, there's really not much else you can do. All the exterior sheet metal has to fit. So good question. Okay, the first one. Now I can't remember what I said. I'm going to go with Cyrano. I'm saying Cyrano. If I'm wrong, say I'm wrong. Travis says the industrial pallet bars, they're about 5 inches wide by 8 foot long. I was going to cut them in half, bend flanges, and attach the floor pan and rear torque box to floor support. Okay. Yeah, that's some pretty serious metal. Yeah. And now I know what you're talking about. Yep. Yep. Car guy Troy checking in. Been a while. Yes, it has. Glad you're here. 427. I like to use Mastercoat silver on bare welds and locations. I will seam seal. I put the seam sealer on top of the Mastercoat after it dries for a day. Okay, good input. Thank you. And I know you said Rich W, right? Is I think that's what you had said, Eleanor. And it's hard. It's hard for me to get on these now with these with the way this is doing these names and try to remember who's who. Like so obviously some of y'all stand out. You hear all the time, but some of these Rich W. Okay, because I'm like now my mind is racking, going Rich W. Who's Rich W? And I probably know who you are, but it just messes with my head when these different names come up. Travis, anyone know if they make a metal, not the foam one, 302 skeleton, also a T5 transmission skeleton? I haven't looked into that. I have not looked into that. Um, I did see something earlier for the transmission because I had a question when I was looking at this one I have from Summit, and the number on this one is, let me see, I have it on this receipt here, 774013. Okay, and I had to pull this up because on their page, you see that hole over there. That on the page on their screen or on their display page, whatever, that is on the opposite side. And I thought that doesn't make sense because that should be for the starter. Okay. And I was looking at pictures, everything else I put together right, because I talked about this on Patreon, that I did not know if the other three segments were in the right location. So let me just turn this a little bit so you can see. Um, I didn't know if these three were in the right spot. And so I ended up looking on Summit, and these are right. These are in the right location. But in their imagery, they show this one facing the other way. And I kept looking at that, thinking, why is it doing that? Well, then when I pulled up that part number, it brought up a JEGS number and it brought up another company. And on their pictures, that hole is on the passenger side where it's supposed to be. So I think Summit has their thing backwards. I think it doesn't make any sense why it would have that hole on the other side. On the transmission, the real transmission, there's a plug that in that area, but on the passenger side is the starter. So what I'm getting at is when I was looking for that, I had other items pop up. I can't remember which one it was, but it looked like there was a T5 version that popped up that you could use. So look up the numbers. Look up the 774013 on Summit, or Google it. Okay, Google uh, the 774013, and other things will pop up, and then maybe that'll get you on the right path to find that. Richard, would you ever consider building yourself another early Mustang to replace Jade? Uh, yes, I have considered that, and I've said it before. I've got a '67 coupe on the other side of the garage that may become the next fastback. Not for me. It may become a fastback that I build for somebody else. Like that's kind of my mindset right now. Like that car, um, I may put it out that if somebody wants a '67 coupe to fastback body, then I may make that available. I may build it for somebody, if they want me to. So I have that '67, and I also have the '68 that I talked about before. That was the blue one, this one right here, that I picked up. I don't know. Roger and I went to go get that like 3 years ago, and that car is almost a rust-free car. Like it's in good shape. It's in really good shape. It needs a quarter panel. That's all it really needs: a wheelhouse and a quarter panel because it got hit on the passenger side. But the floor pans are rock solid in that car. The frame rails, floor supports, everything is rock solid. Um, and that's one I have considered if I were to, replace Jade in a sense. I would do it with that car. So that's over here in the back of my mind somewhere, but it's not a priority, of course. But I've thought about it. Doyle, there we go. I have epoxy on all my metal and have seam sealed the car before high build, so it will be buried under it. That's what I remember you telling me. I think, yeah, I think that's probably the process we went through. Sounds about right. Troy, the skeleton thing for the trans is cool. I haven't seen one of those, just the foam type ones. Yeah, well, the engine one is cool too. The engine, I like that one a lot. The metal engine, but the transmission. Like I said, there was absolutely no instructions in the box, which surprised me. But the um, the picture, like I said, the pictures online didn't make sense. And I see Pat, you're responding. If they use a photo editor program, sometimes it gives a mirror image and they don't notice it before they publish the image. Yeah, what I found as a problem with that is these three panels are facing the right way. There's a flange on the end of these that is facing aft. So there's a 90-degree bend on each one of these. And the pictures on jegs show those being aft and this hole on the passenger side. In the Summit imagery, those three are facing the same way, but this is on the other side. So I think they just screwed up when they were putting it together. And nobody, like, because like I said, there's no instructions. All it is has, and this is where you know, I hate to say the word, make it idiot proof. Make it idiot proof. So on each one of these segments, there's a tab. There's a tab here and a tab there. It's the same dimension from this edge to that edge. All three of these pieces share a dimensional tab identical, right? So you can turn these in either direction and you wouldn't know. My mind says either make one tab all the way to the edge and the other one closer to the center, maybe. It's not going to matter. Do that. Do it all three of them. Or put an arrow on because you're just making these things. It's got a laser etch on it. Doesn't cost anything extra. You put an arrow pointing down and an arrow pointing towards it so that you make the arrows meet. Make it obvious. Don't make it so that you can just not put it together wrong. It's like not like IKEA furniture. They show you how to do it. They do it a certain way so you shouldn't be able to put it together wrong. But in this case, leaving this front piece, you can turn it either direction because the tabs and slots are exactly the same dimension. That or add a third one. Make it so you can't put it on wrong. That's all I'm saying. Make it make it dummy proof. And that can you get a firm ride but yet be smooth? Some frame connectors with adjustable coilovers or air suspension. I want sporty with good handling but yet smooth. Is that even possible? I'm sure it is. Um, Frame connectors aren't going to make really any difference from that aspect. Like that'll add strength to the vehicle, um, and it'll make it safer, right? But there's a variety of options out there for suspension, and I can't say one is better than the other. Um, like this TCI suspension, it's probably going to be a stiffer ride overall. It would make sense to me that it's going to be a stiffer ride because it's meant to be. It's a handling package. Um, but I'm sure there's variables out there that will meet what you're looking for. Air ride suspension, I've heard good things about those, but I don't have enough background in those to give you a good answer. It's just not, you know, typically when I'm doing uh, suspension stuff on most of the vehicles I work on, it's just stock, you know, but I don't have a good background in the options. Um, Mr. I'm going to say Cyrano again. Hopefully, I really hope I'm not butchering it for you, dude. When you're welding your spot, what size wire are you using? I will say this: I have been in the past using 023 or 024, whatever it is, but lately I've been using 30. I've been using 30,000s, and I'll say in the past I've hesitated to use 30,000s because I was on thinner metal and I felt like it made more sense to use a thinner wire. Um, but with my experience and I don't know, just kind of feel for things, I've pretty much switched over to 30,000s. Now I still have 023 or whatever um, dimension it is for light stuff. And like if I do sheet metal, like quarter panels, if I'm doing stitch welding on um, a butt weld or something, I'll use a smaller wire. But if I'm doing a plug weld, I'll go with the bigger wire. It's just I've gotten used to it. Troy, what's the reasoning for the bigger wire, frame rail stuff, or thicker metal? Okay, so and this is hard to answer simply because I'm basing it on what I do and my skills. Um, and let me back this up a few steps. Okay, when I learned to weld, I learned to weld with a stick welder, and I did things with a stick welder that people said you couldn't do. I could weld light gauge metal with a stick welder. I mean, like light gauge metal, and they everybody said you can't do that. Maybe you're not supposed to do it, but they said you can't, and I was able to do those things. So I have gotten accustomed to a feel or maybe an intuition of what I get feedback from when I weld. So it's very difficult for me to explain this because I don't even know that I'm doing it. I've been welding for so many decades that my feel for what I'm welding and what I see and like I know when to stop or I know when to I can add just a little tiny bit and fill that weld in. Um, so I adapt rapidly to what I'm welding. Some people can't do that. Some people have to have the smaller wire or have the amperage set exactly right and all whatever. But I've adapted to everything so often that I'm used to adjusting myself to make what I want happen. I hope that makes sense. Now, on the lighter wire, um, or lighter metal, it's easier to weld, say, a butt weld on a quarter panel. If you're bringing in two pieces of metal, you want that lighter metal or lighter wire because you can do a spot weld and barely heat that up. You can barely generate any heat and just connect those two together. And then move an inch and do another one, move an inch, move an inch, move an inch, and let that stuff cool down, settle down. When you use a heavier wire, you can do that, but odds are you're going to generate just a little bit more heat to make that melt. And the end result is you can create some warpage. So for light stuff, I'm going to go with a lighter wire. Now, when I'm doing a plug weld, recently I've been doing everything I did on the Fangwood car. I've used 30,000s. And when I'm doing those plug welds, I've got a base that I'm welding to and a ring that I'm filling in. So I start in the center. I can do it two different ways. You can start in the center and burn your way out to that edge, or you can start at the edge and burn your way into the center. It doesn't matter. Um, but again, I've just gotten used to that wire, so I just and I'm done. Um, but I could do the same thing with the other wire, but that's just me. And it's hard. Like I said, it's really hard for me to give some insight into that because we're all different. We all, even welding, even though we can do the welds, we all have our quirks and things that we do to make us a little bit different. So, hope that helps. 67-year amperage carrying capability goes up with the welding wire gauge. Yes, yeah, that's accurate. Robert, the frame rails are slow with a thin wire, but often it's laziness. You learn to cope with what's in the machine for whatever you're welding versus changing wire, and that's true too. That is true too. Um, yeah, like I said, I've gotten used to the 30,000s. Troy, so you're welding pretty hot and fast then, I'm guessing. Sounds like it anyway. I think I get it. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, hot and fast. Um, Burn it in, move on. But again, we're all we're all different. 427, I always run 023 or 025 on basic sheet metal work. It's more forgiving. Dual pulse is amazing on MIG for sheet metal. Yes, and that's one thing I like about that. Uh, yes Welder DP200. I've done when I did the video on that initially. I used that dual pulse setup, and I will be using that again later. Michael, the CCP kit seems to be most reasonably priced, but may not give the best ride. And they also make the subframe connectors set. I have them, but I modify them quite a bit. Okay. And Annette says, thank you. Hey, I want to show you something else while I'm here. I talk about using, different lights, right? And equipment. And I'm always trying to upgrade. I'm always trying to make things better. And I'm just going to show you this because now that I'm trying to post on Instagram is at least once a day if I can. I picked up a new thing, pretty cheap, like $23. This is on Amazon, by the way. This has a magnetic ring on it that you put a magnet on your phone. They give you the magnet, and this thing is pretty neat. Like it has multiple angles that you can do things. This head swivels around. You can turn it in different directions. It has a pair of folding legs on it. So if you wanted to, you don't want to make a kickstand for holding your phone when you're watching videos or stuff. This little thing acts as a kickstand, so you can hold your phone like a little kickstand type of thing. Um, and check this out. It has a clamp on the end here. You can slide this down and clamp it onto something. It even has, and I like gadgets like this. I really do. It has a little, like a little like a belt clip thing. You know, if you're going on a trip or somewhere and you wanted to um, clamp it onto your backpack or whatever, and the whole thing just goes folds up like that. Now, the problem I had when I ordered this, I was like, oh yes, oh, and another thing, it's got a magnet on the back here, so you can um, so if you're doing stuff like that, that's a neat little gadget. It's called Automaton, I think is the name of the company. Automaton. But I got in a hurry when I ordered this, and I realized, yeah, Automaton. I realized there was another version of this that has a screw, quarter-inch screw right there, so I can put it on my tripod. I love gadgets like this. I hate to say it, I really do. Whenever somebody comes out with some neat little thing like this, I add it to my pile of gadgets. So I have another one coming. I may send this one back because I don't necessarily need two of these. But let me tell you, I love little gadgets like this. Okay, with that, I'm going to probably call it a night. This has been a pretty good night. We've had a lot of questions, a lot of input, and um, I know that the more participation we get, the better. So I look forward to getting the next video out, and it'll be working on the mock-up engine and transmission. If you, like I said, if you don't already follow me, hit me up on Instagram, Joe Daddy's Garage. You can find me, follow me there, and of course, Facebook and all that stuff. So that's going to be it for tonight. I plan to be back next Monday. Oh, and I'll also say this: February 11th, I think, through the 15th. I'll be out in San Diego. So if anybody's out in that area, I've already had Ed Cucharella reach out to me that he wants to meet out there. So if anybody's out there in that area, let me know. We'll see if we can't meet because I'm probably not going to get to California again for a long, long time. So anyway, that'll be it for tonight. Until next time, take care of yourselves. See you.